Have you checked out Chasing the Limelight series, streaming on podcasts everywhere yet? Because if you haven't, I'm Ashley Seal, and I would love for you to join me and special guest Rusty Joyner as we take you behind the scenes while we're filming to experience the highs, the lows, and everything we learn along the way. So no matter your dream, I truly hope that this podcast inspires you to go for it.
Hello and welcome to Jibber Jabber, the Networking Magazine's talk show with me, your host, Sanj Saigal. Her debut album was released on the 11th of February 2025 with a special launch event at the iconic venue, the Water Rats in King's Cross. Helen King is a new London singer-songwriter and joins me to talk about her debut album entitled Look Back No More. Hello, Helen, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. A pleasure. Well, listen, I know that you've just released your new album. If I may, could we talk about the album cover? I love it. Who captured the image and where was it taken?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you love it. I love it too. It was taken by a photographer called Stuart Lloyd, who is from my hometown in Cheshire, actually. And right. The photograph was taken in Cheshire in Buckinghamshire, just next to the River Chess.
Lovely.
So I'm standing in the photograph just by a bridge, and the River Chess is flowing behind me. Did
you take it in one go, or did you have to do many takes?
We had to do quite a lot of takes, and we too many. No, I'm sorry, Stuart. I apologise. We did a lot of shots. We tried to kind of really play around with some ideas. Try different locations around my hometown, right. And I think that was the one. I think right. when it's the one. I saw it and I thought that's the one.
Well, let's move on to the process. What's it like? From inception, from your ideas to the creation of an album. I mean, it's an incredible journey. Could you talk a little bit about how that journey took place? What was involved? What happened?
Yeah, so I was really fortuitous to meet a guy called Graham Sims of Little Ear Productions, and he was a friend of a friend, and I think we were at a party together. It was a poker party, actually.
Nice.
Of course, very rock and roll. And yeah, he's a sound engineer and runs Little Ear Productions. And he had seen me doing karaoke. We might want to come on to karaoke later.
We're going to, definitely.
He'd seen me at karaoke doing a track. And he was just blown away. He just said, look, you've got a really good voice. And have you ever considered writing songs? Right. And I said, well, yeah, I'm a massive music lover, and, I've always really wanted to do that, but it always, I guess, just felt like a far off dream or something for someone else. So, so I sat down with my guitar. I played the guitar since I was about 11.
Wow.
Sat down with my guitar and wrote the song "Who Do You Love," which is on the album.
Yeah.
And
I think I heard a clip of that on Instagram, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's one of the kind of popular ones, so it's streaming really well. And so I wrote it sort of from start to finish, just in a linear fashion.
Wow.
And I sent it to Graham, and he said, "Bloody hell,
let's do it."
Let's do it.
Okay, well, look, what was the release like? I know that on Instagram there was a big push for the Water Rats in King's Cross, where the debut album, where you launched, really. Tell me about that experience. I mean, was it, you finally got to live your dream. You're there. What did it feel like?
Absolutely amazing. I can't tell you. So I never ever thought I would be doing it, and the Water Rats, as you said in your intro, is such an iconic venue. You know, first gig from Bob Dylan when he came over from the US.
Amazing venue.
Oasis first, London gig. So to even kind of be sort of walking the floorboards is amazing.
Yeah.
And it just felt absolutely brilliant. I had a huge amount of support, loads of people in the crowd dancing, really, really couldn't have been better. Absolutely raised the roof. My band are amazing. And it was just really euphoric, actually, really kind of celebratory.
It must have been a real feeling of winning, really. Well, look, let's wind the clock backwards, if I may. Who told you that you could sing? I mean, did you realise from a very young age that, you know what, Mum said I can sing, so I'm going to do it? I mean, who was it?
Well, it was my mum. It was you. You've already given away the punchline. It was my mum.
Right.
So, so my mum and dad were always into music. There was always music playing in the house, from the Beatles to kind of Fleetwood Mac, Rolling Stones, kind of, Tina Turner, Elkie Brooke. There was always music on. And
do you come from a musical family? Did your mother sing or your father sing? Where did it come from?
Well, my dad played guitar a bit, but only to impress my mum.
Right.
So, so once he got married to my mum, he sort of didn't bother anymore because it was all about the girl. So, But yeah, I picked up a guitar when I was about 11, 12, and went through the whole process of your fingers hurting when you get your sort of sores on your fingers when you're playing. And I was like, oh God, this is really horrible, but persevered. And then when I was older, actually, we moved to a new house, and there was this old lady who had a piano, and she couldn't take it with her because she was downsizing. And she said, "Do you want this old piano?" And I said, "Yes, yes, please." But I obviously hadn't got, hadn't had lessons, and so I was sort of, teaching myself on this piano.
Amazing.
And my mum and dad basically, just put me in a cupboard under the stairs with this piano.
Shut up and watching something on the TV.
So I was like a sort of musical Harry Potter under the stairs.
At least you're honest.
My dad had sort of come past and slammed the door shut, sort of stop making that noise. But
Okay, well look, you're a singer-songwriter. How much of social media, how much of it is involved in what you do? I mean, obviously, anyone who follows you on Instagram can see that you're very active, that you put out things regularly. So, is it essential now for any singer-songwriter entering this industry or following your footsteps, so to speak? Is social media critical in what you do?
Yes. So I think it is obviously critical, but it's not everything.
Right.
So I think, there's so much about music, which is about the love of music and having people around you who love music and who love your music and building that fan base. And social media is a really important part of building a fan base. But actually going out and playing in London, I'm playing out in London all the time. Hoping to kind of tour later in the year.
Amazing.
And that's in a way where the connection really happens. So I really encourage people to come to one of my gigs.
Yep. Well, I'll be putting your Instagram details in the podcast description box so people can stay, tuned to what you're doing and where you're performing. So yeah, definitely. If you could turn back time, would you have done anything differently? Your story is one of kind of accidental, finding a piano and learning how to play under the stairs and that sort of thing, and discovering you could sing. But if there was one thing that you could do by turning back time, would you do anything differently or just the same?
I think I would have just started sooner and believed in myself. And I suppose if anyone's listening who's ever thought about sitting down and writing a song and making an album and launching an album at the Water Rats, then do it because you can. And it turns out that it's achievable. And,
I love your story. I absolutely love your story. I just, I found you by accident on Instagram. Absolutely loved it. And I was hooked. Immediately. It took me about 1 second. Absolutely loved it. Okay, well, let's move on to some fun questions now. Some of these have come in from social media. The first one is, if you could have any fictional character as your bandmate, who would it be and why?
Oh, good question. I'm going to say Marty McFly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because, he does Johnny Be Good pretty well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Marty McFly.
Okay. All right. What's your most unusual place you've ever found inspiration for a song? Don't say under the cupboard, under the stairs.
Under the stairs. I think it's probably in bed.
Really?
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that.
So, I mean, often I wake up about 2 or 3 in the morning and I've got a tune in my head or some lyrics in my head, and I'm like asleep and I'm not sort of half awake, and I sort of put my arm out to the darkness and get my phone.
Oh my God.
And I'll record the tune or the words that has just come to me. And then I listen to it in the morning.
Does it play out the way you think it does?
I mean, it's interesting.
Definitely. Okay.
So that's how I do it.
If you could perform anywhere in the world, where would it be? And who would your dream opening act be?
Oh, amazing questions. So I'm going to say Wembley.
Really? Okay.
Because I said to someone, I was going to see Florence and the Machine, so that's probably answered the second part of your question.
Probably.
But I said, I'm going to Wembley, and they said, oh my God, you're playing Wembley. I said, no, not me. Florence and the Machine. So Wembley and Florence and the Machine.
But you never know. There's I'd love to come and see you live at Wembley. So
one day.
All right. So what's your go-to karaoke song? We all do karaoke. And how do you think it compares to your own music?
Well, I thought you were going to come back to the karaoke. So the song that I was singing when my very dear friend Graham Sims saw me sing karaoke was "What's Up" by Four Non-Blondes.
Okay.
Which is a bit of a sort of late night drunk. I mean, I can't really remember how much I'd had to drink, but yeah, that's
okay.
That's always.
Do you do much karaoke? I mean, do you sing around the house and that kind of thing?
Yeah,
and then think, well, that sounds good.
I'm always singing. Yeah, I mean, I'm always singing, and I feel like in a way I always was.
Yeah.
So. Somebody asked me the other day, when did you start singing? And I said, I started singing when I was born.
Yeah, that's a nice answer. That's a good answer. Okay, if you had to describe your music, but only sort of using food metaphors, what would you say?
Oh, my goodness. Food metaphors.
Yeah, that's a difficult question. Really.
I think it's like an ice cream sundae.
Oh, nice.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's got lots of layers to it.
Oh, nice.
The album's got lots of textures and layers, and it's got a real journey to it. So you're probably starting off at the top with the kind of whipped cream, maybe a cherry.
Oh, stop.
Are you salivating?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Moving on. Okay, so what's the most embarrassing moment you've had on stage? I mean, you've only just entered stage, right?
Yeah,
but was there anything there that you thought, did you come on looking cool and trip, or, and style it out, or was there any embarrassing moments?
So I only really took the stage for the first time a year ago.
Right.
So it really is feeling still relatively new.
Yeah.
But that first time, I sort of stood on the stage and.
Did you wear dark glasses?
I wore dark glasses and
nice.
a paper bag.
Nice.
But I just sort of had this kind of mini panic attack in the toilet because I was like, my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? This is insane. And then I got to the stage and I had this lovely feeling of calm, really lovely feeling of calm once I was up there.
Nice.
And I thought, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah, that's lovely. Okay. If you could time travel to any musical era, which one would you choose and what would you want to experience?
So hard. I love music from every decade.
Right. Do you have a particular one, like the
So
80s?
I think it's going to be the 60s. I think it's going to be the
60s?
60s,
Okay.
the Beatles,
Yeah.
to be at a Beatles gig in the
Nice.
60s, that would
You've
be
mentioned this.
phenomenal.
You've sort of mentioned sort of not time travel, but you've mentioned that era. Does it influence your current music in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, so I think the Beatles sort of did everything and mopped up, and then
Yeah,
everybody else
yeah,
since has sort of been building on that.
yeah,
Obviously, there's loads of others I would
yeah.
recognise, Bob Dylan and
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac, as I said, and Pink Floyd
Okay.
and so on. But yeah.
Okay. Do you have any pre-show rituals or superstitions that help you to get through the zone? I mean, when you were performing this week just gone, you probably did some sort of show ritual. Did you stamp your feet, turn around 3 times, or do anything stupid?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a banana.
No.
I always have to have a banana because
Right.
it's slow burn energy.
Right.
So yeah.
People would find it very hard that we have just met about 20 minutes ago. Okay, right.
And then I warm up my voice. I have an amazing vocal coach called Kim
Nice.
Chandler, and she taught me how to warm up my vocals in just 3 minutes. So a
Wow.
lot of people think it takes longer,
Yeah.
but I have a kind of 3 minute warm up.
Nice. Okay. If you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would it be, and what kind of song would you create together?
Great
Oh, I love these
question.
questions.
They're such good questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh goodness, there's too many to choose from.
Choose one.
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to team up with Girl in Red. I don't know if listeners have kind of tuned in to Girl in Red. She's a relatively recent singer-songwriter, but she's absolutely fabulous, and
Nice.
I really love her stuff. Her stuff's really quite poppy,
Right.
but it's great. There's some real bangers. So yeah, Girl in Red.
Okay. What's the weirdest fan interaction you've ever had? Did you have any at the live gig?
I couldn't possibly say. What if they're listening?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you can't tell me. It would be like a fresh wound.
That would be mean.
Yeah, okay,
But I think suffice to say, yes, I've had some very
Right.
interesting interactions.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Are you signing autographs? Have you
Yes.
signed an autograph?
I was signing on Tuesday,
Oh, wonderful.
so I
What
do
was that?
actually
What
have
was that like? That must
a
have been
run of
amazing.
CDs.
That must have been
Yeah,
amazing.
it was amazing, and I had the whole, the Sharpie. It's got to be the
Right.
Sharpie.
Yeah, nice,
The
nice.
black Sharpie. And yeah, it was an absolutely amazing feeling. And I've done a run of CDs, so I wasn't sure if people actually still
They
use
do.
CDs, but
They
a
do.
lot of people who are really into their music
They
are really
do,
into
yeah.
their CDs or
Yeah.
their vinyl, obviously, because of the quality.
Yeah.
So I
I
sold a
miss
few
CDs.
CDs.
Yeah, I
Oh, I
miss
love
CDs.
CDs. I like holding the CD and
Yeah.
having a physical thing.
Different experience, yeah. Okay, if you could swap lives with any artist for a day, who would that be? What would you do?
I would like to swap with Taylor Swift.
Ooh, that's
Because
good.
she's basically as big as it gets, right?
Yeah,
So what
pretty
is it
much.
like? What is it like,
Well,
really?
well, let's put it this way: she must have run out of ink on the Sharpie. So,
She has. She's keeping Sharpie going.
she's got shares. Okay, what's one song that never fails to put you in a good mood? I love that question. I have to have a good mood song every morning.
That is, well, you've just said in the morning. In the morning
Hmm.
is a good song. Anything jolly.
Yeah,
Uh, I like actually a bit of Simon and Garfunkel.
nice.
Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard is one that I particularly
Yeah.
Like,
do you just bop to it or you sing to it?
Yeah, I bop and sing. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
bop and sing.
Nice.
And there's a bit in the middle that goes whoa, and that's my favorite bit.
Brilliant.
And I just basically wait for that, and then I go whoa.
Okay, and if you could have any animal as your tour mascot, what would it be, and what would you name it? Oh, these are difficult questions, aren't they?
Oh God.
We put you on the spot.
I would go for a cat.
A cat.
'Cause I like cats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the name?
Furry.
Good one. Good choice. Okay. All right. Well, moving on. What's your guilty pleasure song that you might surprise your fans?
Probably something like 50 Cent or something like that.
I wouldn't have put you down for that. Not in 100 years. Okay.
Yeah. Something by 50 Cent.
Okay. All right. If you could create a music video for any of your songs, what would the theme be, and who would star?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
So the kind of first track of the album was called Back in the Day.
Right.
And Back in the Day is the track that streams the most. So it's the most popular at the moment. But,
right.
People should definitely be streaming the other ones too.
Yeah.
And so it's really the kind of, I guess, the kind of headline single. So I would choose that
Right.
as the song. And in the I don't know. I would have I don't know. Austin Butler. Looking
Butler.
kind of chiseled on a
Okay.
beach somewhere.
Are you going to do any music videos on the subject?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly plan with companies to do that. So yeah.
Do you have to do one?
I've never done a music video before, so I've got to get the whole kind of the look.
Right, yeah. Okay, and what about style? I mean, I haven't got that as a question that's written down on my list, but the styling. How would you? I mean, what kind of style are you? You kind of retro, modern. How would you describe your own style?
So I'm kind of, I guess, a bit kind of sort of cross between an indie goth kind of.
Yeah.
So I'm not a goth. But I do like wearing black. I'm a bit like Johnny Cash. I like to wear black.
Nothing wrong with
but
that.
I also, so, and I've got long black hair. So there's definitely a black thing going on there.
Okay.
Then a kind of almost like Seattle grunge, really kind of indie scene. So quite a bit of brown and stripes and so on. And I've got a Kurt Cobain jumper.
Nice.
That's like...
Well, we're going to look out for your videos when they come out and see what you're wearing. Well, listen, It's been a joy to have you on the show, and
you're very welcome.
Just really, I mean, what can we expect from you next? I mean, is there more gigs in the pipeline? What will be next for people to look out for?
Yeah, so there are loads of gigs coming up. Please look out for the dates and venues on Instagram. I'm already working on the second album, so I've already got kind of 5 or 6 songs ready to go for the second album. So I'm really looking forward to 2025. It's going to be awesome.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to the audience who tuned in. And as I said before, I'm going to put Helen's details in the podcast description box for her Instagram so you can follow her journey. Thank you for joining me.